Welcome to JetsRewind.com. And this is Marty Shupak. I'm in Valley Cottage, New York, and I'm joined by my co-host, Ray Clifford in Marysville, Ohio. We're recording this on Wednesday, November 17th at 5 o'clock. Ray, good to see you and good to hear you. How are you doing?
Yeah, it's good to have all the glitches worked out. Doing okay, feeling better now after what was a pretty bad weekend. So
Yeah, and I did a solo version Sunday, and I made a couple of mistakes, but it felt good, Ray, venting after that game.
I
But
bet.
before we get started, I came up with a trivia question. Then I want to do a couple shout out and something else. All right, here we go, Mr. Ray Clifford.
All righty.
What now? Keep in mind, this is a single game record. Okay, a single game record. Which New York Jet holds the single game record for receptions in one game? I'll repeat it again. Which New York Jet holds the single game record for receptions in one game? And Ray, if you could give me the number also, that would be a bonus for you. But if not, okay. I know it's an easy one for you, Ray.
Yeah.
But
Nothing's easy on
we'll
these.
come back to it. I just want to say we're going to get in right away to Joe Flacco was named the starter about 4 hours ago. And most of the show will probably be about that. But I also want to just do a little bit of catching up. Kyle Phillips was taken off the PUP list, and I guess he was activated, which I think is good. If you remember, Ray, his rookie year, he was an undrafted free agent. I'm not sure, but it might have been Tennessee. And the first 8 or 9 games of the season, he really played really well, I thought. Solid.
Yeah.
I mean, not like a superstar. And then he got hurt. And I guess he was hurt last year. I'm not quite sure what the injury was. I don't know if you remember it at all, Ray.
No, but when he was out there, I do remember he was a pleasant surprise because he kind of came out of nowhere. So that was, if he can help this defense, I'm all for it because they've fallen off the cliff. So
Ray, if you could help this defense, I'm all for it. I don't mind if you suit up. I'd like to do a shout out to a former AFL player that really meant a lot to me. He wasn't a New York Jet, but he announced it today. His name is Curly Culp. He has stage 4 pancreatic cancer. And I'm a huge fan for a number of reasons. He was from Yuma, Arizona. He went to Arizona State University, my alma mater, and he actually was recruited for football and wrestling. And he won the NCAA heavyweight division in wrestling at Arizona State. He was a 6-time Pro Bowler. And interestingly, Ray, I don't know if you remember this, in 1975, as a member of the Houston Oilers, he was the Defensive Player of the Year, which is really impressive after leaving the Chiefs, because everybody remembers him as a Chief.
Yeah, me too. That's what I was going to say. Who was the other teams he played for? Because
he also I think he also played a year. I believe it was Detroit. But I just want to send my respects and let's all pray for Curly Culp, who's 75 years old and he's fighting stage 4 pancreatic cancer. And if Robert Saleh thinks that some of the players on his defense don't have heart, he should break out some old film clips, video clips of Curly Culp, because this guy at 6'1", 265, he was a monster of a player. Ray, do you have any memories of Curly Culp, even though he wasn't a Jet?
I remember the name and I remember him as a player, but I don't have a lot of really vivid memories of him. I knew he was a good player at the time, but
great player, Ray. He was a great player. But he truly was. Talk about a
Hall of Famer.
Oh yeah, he's in the Hall of Fame.
Okay,
absolutely.
I was going to say if he was a 6-time Pro Bowler and everything back then, especially when it really meant something. Now it seems like, I don't know if these awards mean what they used to, but
Right.
when they get that back then, it really was an honor. Um,
A
and it
lot of
really went to
those,
the guys who
yeah.
deserved it.
Now, for a lot of you old-time Jet fans that really started following them, like Ralph, Ray, and myself in the old AFL, you remember these teams like the Jets, Kansas City Chiefs, and the Oakland Raiders. It was like classic football. And what was interesting was it was so wide open, the way they played the game, and the quarterbacks were never protected like they are today,
Yeah.
which Ray, we've spoken off the air about what Joe Namath's numbers would be like.
Oh God.
Yeah,
In today's game,
yeah,
unbelievable.
if they
Yeah.
threw the flag like they do when somebody sneezes on Tom Brady. Well,
Well, and not just the rules in general about throwing, and they can't touch the receiver after 5 yards, and the head slap was around, and blocking, guys couldn't extend their arms to block. They couldn't put their hands out. They got called for a penalty. All these rules to help the offense, and Namath still threw for 4,000 yards, which was unheard of back then. So, which to me would equate to probably around 8,000 in today's game with the
right.
way they threw the ball.
It
But
really was.
yeah,
He takes a lot of. I don't want to turn this into an old AFL show, but Namath takes a lot of heat for his uh, interception and interception rate and his
mhm.
passing percentage. But you just had to see this guy play. Some of the passes
Well,
he
and
made.
people, they can't even imagine that quarterbacks called their own plays then. There wasn't a, like, uh, and Tom Landry wasn't the first to do it, but he made it the most popular, sending in the play with a guy every play and calling it what before they had, mics in their head in their helmets. They'd send in a player every play and call a play. Namath went up, he'd read the defense, make the call, you know, what he saw when he got to the line of scrimmage. He didn't have a coordinator telling him what to call every play.
Right. They didn't have the headset
So
set up
watching
today.
watching film back then really, really was important because that's the only way you had any idea what might be coming.
Right. Okay. Ray, no matter how much we talk about the old AFL that brings a smile to our face, we still got to face today's Jets
Yeah.
that are 2-7, and they will be playing the Miami Dolphins. Today it was announced. It came as a big surprise that Joe Flacco was the name of starting quarterback because uh, Zach Wilson's knee is not 100% yet. And
Fine.
also Mike White was bypassed. He was a little upset. So Ray, give me your first reaction to the to Joe Flacco named starter. And I don't want to forget also, I just feel bad for this guy, Josh Johnson. But go ahead, Ray. What's your initial thoughts?
I'm really not that surprised by it. Mike White had such a rough day, which isn't really that surprising. Buffalo was a big step up from Cincinnati, and I'm not sure how he would have played against Indy, but Indy, he was looking good for that one quarter. But Buffalo was a whole different level. That might be the best defense in the whole NFL. If not, it's right there with the best defenses. So it wasn't that surprising. But what I think might have been the reasoning for the Jets was Joe Flat when Mike White kind of got banged up a little and they took him out and in came Flacco and he moved him right down the field and scored a touchdown. Now, granted, they were way ahead and it's not like they were, putting the big defense against him, but he moved the ball and Mike White wasn't. And that might be all it took for them to do that. I'm totally okay with them keeping Zach out another week. Hell, I don't care if they keep him out another 2 weeks, unless if he's not 100%, then don't put him back in there. We don't need to chance another, injury and have this whole year wasted on that. But so, I mean, I guess it's less of a surprise to me. That was the first thought I had last week when he moved now for a touchdown. It's like, oh, he's moving the ball. And if Zach's not ready, maybe that's who we'll see. So I'm not that surprised, really, personally.
Earlier in the day, and we spoke off the air, Mike Greenberg of
Yeah.
ESPN was saying how this is making the Jets look like a joke because they keep changing what they're doing. They keep coming up with different sentences, different narratives, this and that. Ray, is this making the organization really look bad? I saw a tweet from someone that said that this is a Woody Johnson move. And is it making
I don't
Robert
think so.
Saleh look bad?
Well, I don't think it's a Woody Johnson move. I don't think Woody is going to call and say, "Hey, put Joe Flacco in." I think this is a coaching staff decision. We brought him in. I mean, they gave up a draft pick for him. So, I think this is why they brought him in, to get him in there and see what he could do if Zach can't go. I like what Mike White did in the one game, obviously. And, who knows, maybe he'll get another shot. Maybe Joe will get banged up. Who knows what'll happen. But as far as Greenberg, he's getting more idiotic every time I listen to him talk, which isn't very often because I usually just see clips of him griping about the Jets.
Ray, is it me or sometimes do you ever wish, like, I wish this guy wasn't a Jet fan?
Yeah. As soon as he said Trevor Lawrence shouldn't come out, I said, just go over to New England and be happy over there, because, you're not helping the Jets by making this comment. Now, as far as them being a joke, I got to admit, they look even worse than I feared they would, back before the draft and during the draft and in the preseason. I mean, I was pleasantly surprised by the defense early on, and I still am pleasantly surprised by the DBs. The defensive line has, just left. I mean, I don't mean they gave up, but they just aren't. They aren't making plays, and that's just stressing out the team. What are we average giving up the last 4 games? 40 some points a game.
Like
the last 3 or 4 games.
like 45.
Yeah.
Just so you know, your volume happened to go up just now.
I
So
don't know why that would be.
I don't know if that's anything. Ray, also, not football related, or it could be football related. Joe Flacco was wearing a mask, and he was asked, and he came right out and he said he wasn't vaccinated. Is this any sort of story, or is it anything that we should pay attention to?
We're hearing about guys, they make a big deal every time a guy who isn't vaccinated gets COVID, but we've seen numerous occasions that guys that have been vaccinated are getting it. So, why would I get upset if he gets COVID? I'm not going to blame it on not getting vaccinated, because, we've had plenty. Cleveland just had like 3 guys last week, 3 important guys out last week because of COVID, and they were all vaccinated. It's not, but the biggest deal in the world is Aaron Rodgers. Like that's front page news. But every time a guy who's been vaccinated has it, it's just like, oh, well, that's tough luck. Well, okay, but what's the difference?
No, it doesn't mean.
I don't understand what the difference is if guys who are vaccinated are still getting it. What's it say that he couldn't, or is he the only one who can pass it on? Or I don't understand. I don't think anybody really has a grasp on this virus at this point, really.
Right. No, it's always changing. It's not a big deal to me. The NFL has these protocols which are very, very tough on unvaccinated players. And I think as we speak, Big Ben Roethlisberger is still not practicing because he has COVID, from what I understand.
Was he vaccinated?
I'm not sure. I don't know.
I think he was. I didn't hear him say he wasn't, which they usually make that a point right off the bat.
I don't know. But anyway, Ray, if you look at these 3 quarterbacks, Joe Flacco, Josh Johnson, Mike White, of course, Zach Wilson couldn't play. Those 3, who do you think puts the Jets in the best position to win the game?
Well, Flacco's the vet, so I don't have a problem with Flacco. Mike White showed it in one game, and this isn't Buffalo's defense, so maybe Mike White deserves another chance. But I would have no problem with any of them, to be honest with you. I liked what I've seen from Josh Johnson every time he's been in the game. So I don't feel like he's a big step down from either of those two. As a matter of fact, he might be an improvement since he's a little more mobile than those two. And his arm seems good enough. It might not be as strong as either of them, but it's definitely not a weak arm. So
How come his name doesn't come up though? I don't understand it.
I have no idea.
I don't get it. The guy looks pretty good. If I'm Mike White, I'm sorry, if I'm Josh Johnson's agents, I tell him, move on after this year. You have only a certain amount of playing time left in your career.
Yeah. The hard part is you just don't know where to go. This seemed like a good spot because it seemed like once Zach went down that he might have a chance. And then when Mike White got hurt and he played good in the Indy game, I thought, well, maybe they'll let him stay in there and see what he can do. But I don't know. It's kind of like the Josh Adams thing. I don't know what the problem is with him either, but it seems like whenever he was on the field, he was fairly effective, but not good enough. And so I don't remember who he signed with, but I haven't heard that he's been on the field with anybody on whoever picked him up either.
Ray, I just want to, I did that solo show. I was venting. I don't know if you heard about it. I just want your feeling, because I know we're going to get into a little argument. What's your take on Corey Davis now after he fumbled that ball when they were in field goal range?
Well, I mean, he made a good catch. He made a good move and then was trying to get extra yards and got the ball ripped out. That's not the first time I've ever seen that happen to a guy. So, I'm not gonna be upset with a guy for trying to show some effort. So was it unfortunate? Yeah, but it's not like he was carrying it like a loaf of bread. It's not like, the ball, like I was more mad at him earlier in the year for drops that he had than I am at that.
5 drops, Ray.
Yeah.
I've been counting. 5 drops and 1 fumble that cost us
5 drops in that game.
No,
just overall.
And he missed a couple of games. Yeah,
because but on that play, he made a good catch. He made a really good move. He was going down the field, and I was hoping his butt hit the ground before the ball came out. But once you saw the replay, that clearly didn't happen. And
you knew he did.
But like I say, I'm not gonna fault somebody for trying to show effort. I mean, the guy made a good play ripping it out, unfortunately.
All right, Ray, let me go through our starting defense. Right from our depth chart. On the line, John Franklin Myers, Queen Williams, Folo Fadakasi, Shaq Lawson, linebacker, CJ Mosley, Jared Davis, Delshawn Phillips, cornerbacks, Bryce Hall, Brandon Nichols, he will be out. So it's going to be Javelin Guidry.
He out for some time, or is he done?
Yeah, he's out. He's out for a little while. Okay. I don't think he's on the injured reserves. He might be.
Oh, they said injured reserve, but I didn't know if that
could be the 3-week injured reserve.
Yeah.
Michael Carter II, nickelback. Safeties, Ashton Davis, Jared Wilson. Ray, how bad is this defense? If you look at it, is it worse than it looks on paper? Are we not getting coached by Ulrich? And by the way, his name is, I believe it's Jeff Ulrich, right? Because last podcast I called him Robert Ulrich. What is the deal with our defense, Ray? What is going on? We're not making any sort of adjustments.
Well, I don't know about adjustments, but it's pretty clear, just like with the offense, everything starts with the line. And I still think our young DBs are playing well. And I thought Ashton Davis made some plays in that game, and he looks like he's progressing a little bit too. So I'm not upset with our defensive backfield, who I thought was going to be our ultra weak point going into the season. And our linebackers are not great.
They stink, Ray. They stink.
Well,
Jared Davis,
to your defensive line.
Phillips,
if you don't get any pressure, if they don't need
They
to give
stink.
extra guys, they can send blockers out on linebackers.
And I'll tell you, CJ Mosley makes 3 good plays a game, but I don't think he's having a great year. I just
Well, I
don't.
don't think he
I
is anymore, but I don't. To me, it all comes down to the defensive line. If they're playing well, it seems like everybody's playing well, but they haven't played. We haven't had a good game out of our defensive line in a month.
Right. And I don't know if he's hurt, but I know why they sat him or they didn't give him as many reps, but I would start giving Quincy Williams more repetitions. He
No,
over
he's not a good tackler. That's
he's not a
probably
good
why.
tackler and he overruns the
So,
play, but he's got to
well, and when I say he's not a good tackler, he goes for the big hit all the time.
he does.
He
Right. But
doesn't he
I,
doesn't play smart
look,
all the time. But
at this point, you're not going to lose that much. I'm not a Quincy Williams fan. I agree. He's out of position a lot, but the one thing he has that we need, he's got a quick burst.
yeah.
I'd like to
Oh,
get that burst on Tua this week because I
yeah.
think they have a shot to beat him. Now the other problem is turning the ball around on with Flacco. They blitzed Eddie there like 22 or 20, 22, 24 times. He's going to have to get rid of the ball very quick, Joe Flacco. He's not going to have much time this Sunday. He's going to have to hit guys short. I hope he looks for Elijah Moore. I'm waiting for Elijah Moore to really, even though he's playing better, to have a breakout game. That's what I want. I would,
Mm,
I don't want to have a
yeah.
controversy, but I would much rather see um, the wide receiver Keelan Cole get more repetitions instead of Corey Davis, but that'll never happen. And the fact that Tevin Coleman came back last week, I like this guy, Ray. I know Michael Carter is our RB #1, but something about Tevin Coleman, the way he hits the hole, I like him. The whole game in my mind is going to fall on the shoulders of Joe Flacco in this quarterback-driven league. Uh, Ray, our head coach, I mean, after last year with Adam Gase, we all wanted this guy. He interviewed with Detroit. I'm not quite sure why he didn't get the job then. He was from that area. He's a Muslim. There's a large Muslim population, I think, in the Dearborn area. I don't know why he didn't get it, but at times he looks like a deer in the headlights on the sidelines. For a guy that showed a lot of emotion when he was a defensive coordinator at San Francisco, he's looking like, I don't want to use the word half dead, but my question to you is, could Robert Saleh be over his head as a head coach?
Um, he's looking like a first year coach. That doesn't mean he won't get better. I'd like to see a lot more passion out of. I want to see that guy who was the defensive coordinator, hopping around on the sideline and chest bumping guys. I think he's feeling like, well, I'm the head coach now. I can't do any of that stuff. Well, that's exactly why they wanted him here, is because of that kind of intensity and passion. And I think the fans especially want to see it. And it's kind of, to me, it's kind of like the comment you had earlier in this, in the beginning of the season, when they didn't say our goal is to win the Super Bowl. It might not make a difference to how the game played. I don't know, but I just want to see him look fired up. And it's only happened like 3 times that I can remember this year. And he went off on the refs once. I thought he should have gone off on the refs in this game a little bit, but he just kind of talked to him and shook his head. And when I'm like, man, he's got to, the players are going to take his personality. And if he's too laid back, then, it's just not going to work here. He needs to fire these guys up.
He
So, but I don't know that he's over his head as much as he's still settling in, and hopefully he'll settle in. I think where they made the mistake is, as much as I think LaFleur is calling better games, I think he should have gone with a more experienced offensive coordinator. And I don't know about Ulbrich, but what his background is, he seemed okay early in the year. Now I'm not so sure he was the best choice either. All these guys are young, and as far as coaching goes, and I think you're seeing it. That's all. That's part of the problem.
Yeah, Ray, the schedule lightens up a little bit comparatively. In the next few games, or the next two games, Miami and the Texans, if either one of those teams put on a 40 spot, I mean, I'm going to go berserk. I really am. This is getting, and I mentioned this on Sunday, it's getting so hard to watch. It's like after a quarter and a half,
Yeah.
you really want to just turn it off. It's just unwatchable
Oh, it's
football.
brutal. I
Yeah,
mean, let's face it, that Bills game technically wasn't over at halftime, but it felt like it was over. I mean, it wasn't the score wasn't out of hand at that point, but it sure felt like we were dead in the water.
right.
Obviously, the other games, yeah, they were over early.
Is the personnel worse than we thought it was going into the year? Or is it about what we thought it was and that we'll be lucky to win like 5 games?
I think it's not far off of where I thought it was. I fell into the trap everybody else at the end of the preseason thinking, maybe 6 or 7 wins. But before that, was thinking, with the talent we got, we're going to be lucky to get 5. And now I'm back to thinking we will be lucky to get 5.
Right.
But I think we're right about where, especially taking into account injuries, I think we're right where I think we are. I don't think our defense really is that bad, though. And that's, again, I don't think we're a 40-point a game defense, but we're obviously playing like it. And you are what you're, it's the old saying, was it Bell or Parcells, you are what your record says you are.
That's it.
Well, we're playing like our record right now.
All right, Ray.
I think they can improve over the second half, but they got to make changes.
All right. A new segment of the show right now. We're at 2 and 5. I'm going to mention players, most of them are starters. The segment's called Are They Pulling Their Weight? All I want is a yes and no from you. Okay?
Yep.
You ready? Here we go. Corey Davis.
No.
George Fant.
Yes.
Elijah Vera Tucker.
Yes.
Connor McGovern. Yes or no?
I'm going to say no.
Greg Van Routen.
No.
Morgan Moses.
No.
Ryan Griffin.
No.
Jamison Crowder.
No.
Elijah Moore.
Starting to.
I'll take that as a yes.
Yeah.
The quarterback position.
Is it pulling its weight? No.
Okay. Michael Carter, the running back.
Yes.
Our defense. Are these players pulling their weight? John Franklin Myers.
Currently or overall?
Overall.
Yes.
No, I disagree. Queenan Williams.
You got that extension for a reason. So you said overall. That's why I asked.
I know.
Currently or overall? Quentin Williams, yes. I think he can do more, but I think that's on the Jets.
How about Sheldon Rankins?
Yeah, I think he's doing it. Yes.
Folo Fatakasi.
Yes.
Shaq Lawson.
No.
All right. The rest of the players, are they pulling their weight? Yes or no? CJ Mosley.
No.
I agree. Jared Davis.
No.
Delshorn Phillips. I don't even know if these guys playing.
I don't think he's played enough to give a rating, to be honest with you.
Skip him. Bryce Hall.
Yes.
Brandon Eccles.
Yes.
Michael Carter, too.
Yes.
Javelin Guidry.
Until last game, I would have said yes.
Okay.
No, now.
Ashton Davis.
Yes, I think he is.
Ray, you'd be the only Jet fans that think he's doing okay. Most Jet fans think he's a bust.
I know, but I think he's showing signs.
He's active, and again, I said it 2 shows ago. The biggest knock on Ashton Davis, from what I hear, they say his angle of pursuit, taking the wrong angles. But I saw Marcus May do that once a game. Okay, Jared Wilson, safety.
Yeah, only because he's like our third or fourth
All
guy.
right. All right. How about these couple of special team guys? Then we'll move on. Braxton Berrios,
Yes.
Matt Amendola.
Yeah.
I'd say Braden Mann, but let's say the punting position because
Yes.
I agree. Okay. Um, should I say Mekhi Becton and Blake Cashman? No,
No.
we'll skip. All right, Ray.
But no, I mean, even if Becton, unless he had improved what he'd shown up to that point, forget injuries, what he'd shown up to that point was a big no.
Yeah, forget Becton. I'm telling you,
I'm hoping.
he's not going to play. Here goes Marty again. He's not going to play any more downs this year. They'll never sign him to fifth year option. The guy's going to be a bust. You'll see. All right, Ray. I mentioned last show that these Jet fans are obsessed with our two picks that now first round picks stand at number 3 and number 7. And I said, it's sad if it comes to that's what we look for every season. But then I said something else. I thought about it, and I really believe in this. Let's say we ended up with the 3rd and 7th pick. We have 2 number 2s. That's 4 picks. I would much rather take those 4 picks. Don't even pick where they are, but trade down, turn those 4 picks into like 8, 9, or 10 picks, later first round picks, later second round picks. Because I'm seeing it just doesn't pay when you're picking guys up like Mekhi Becton or Denzel Mims, Ray. I'd rather have a couple of other players. I think you're hedging your picks. I go for volume and quality over just quality. I'd like your thought on that.
Well, plain and simple. If you tell me right now they're going to hit on all 4 picks, then I'm taking the picks. I mean, I've seen other teams have those high picks and they hit on them.
You're not going to hit on all 4.
How do you know?
They just aren't going to hit. I
How
just
do you
know
know?
from
You
history.
don't know what they're going to do.
Let's say they hit on 3, okay? And let's say that's one scenario, but let's say another scenario, they turn those 4 into 8 picks. Let's say late first, a couple of late seconds, and some thirds. 8 picks, and out of those 8, 5 of them pan out. Which scenario would you rather have?
You're telling me the 4 picks can't pan out, but you're saying 5 out of 8 are going to pan out.
I'm saying 3 out of 4 will pan out, but 5 out of 8 will pan
out. I'm taking the 3 out of 4 because they're higher picks, so they're probably more impact players.
I don't think it. I think it doesn't.
You never know. I mean, it's a crapshoot, but
listen,
if these guys pan out, then there's a reason they're being drafted up high.
So many high picks just don't pan out, or actually on the Jets don't pan out. It's just
on a lot of teams they don't. The draft is a crapshoot all around,
and that's why I like trading down, accumulating picks. But all right,
I don't.
We're gonna.
I mean, I'm not against it, but tell me who's available and at that pick before I do it. You know,
I hear you. I understand.
Hell, we traded away a pick that me and Ralph screamed for the whole second half of the draft, and we ended up trading the pick away, and Kansas City took the guy, and he'd be starting on our offensive line right
You're
now.
right. Look, I wanted Tristan Wirfs over Mekhi Becton.
Yeah, and he panned out. And
he panned
so
out.
did the guy on the Giants was pretty good, I thought.
Then he got hurt.
And he got hurt. But he was doing well too. So
he had a bad first year, but he was doing really well this year. All right, Ray, we're in the 4th quarter. We're going to close this out. Let's get back to the trivia question before we do, unless you have something to add. Okay, here we go. We're talking about a single game record for receptions. What New York Jet holds a single game record for receptions? And how many was it?
I really don't know, but I'm going to go with Mickey Schuler.
What's the number?
13.
All right, here we go. On September 21st, 1980, Clark Gaines broke a Jets franchise record with 17 catches in a single game against the San Francisco 49ers.
How many screen passes were they?
It doesn't matter. A franchise record that still
7 or 8
stands.
screen passes.
Right. And for all you younger Jet fans, Clark Gaines played 5 years for the Jets in the 1970s. He played at Wake Forest. He went undrafted, and he actually his first year he rushed for 724 yards and caught more passes. He caught passes, 400 yards, receptions. He scored 6 TDs, and he was actually rated the offensive rookie of the year that year, which was interesting. And he set a record at the time for 100-yard rushing performances then, even though he didn't start till week 7 without starting, which really is
tells you how the draft can be overrated. And I think back then the draft was 14 rounds.
it was a lot of rounds. Yeah. Just so you know, Ray, Clark Gaines, he's 4th in the all-time list receptions. Tied for actually he's 3rd. Tied for 2nd is a player named Tom Fairs. He had 18 in 1950. He's tied with Brandon Marshall, had 18 receptions.
That was with Denver, wasn't it?
Denver, yeah, at San Diego, and leading the list with 20 receptions. And I do remember this. I remember the game. It was the 49ers at the Chicago Bears at Terrell Owens.
Oh, yeah.
20 receptions. If you think back, Ray, I'm sure you'll remember it too.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're going to close this out. My prediction for the game, Ray, is going to be the Dolphins 20, the Jets 14. What would you like to predict?
I'd like to say that they're going to show a little backbone, and this is going to be a nail biter. It's down there, though, right?
It is.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it's home. It's home.
It's another home game?
Yeah, we have 2 home games in a row.
All
And you
right.
would know that if you
If
look
I
at the
went
front page of www.jetsrewind.com, we have the full Jets schedule there. So any predictions, Ray?
I'm going to say we're going to lose a close one at the end, but I don't know, score 24-21.
Okay. Sacks over under 3.5 on Joe Flacco. How many over or under?
I'm going to say under, but I think they could get at least 3. But
I'm going to say
I think
over.
he can. I think he knows how to get rid of the ball.
I think they're going to be in the backfield all day. I think it's going to be a long day for.
Their defensive line isn't as good as Buffalo's. I'll say that much.
Well, okay. Let's see what happens. Too.
Yeah.
All right, for Ray Clifford, Marty Shupak, and JetsRewind.com. Check out our website. Give us a 5-star review if you can. If you're on our YouTube channel, give us a thumbs up. Enjoy the games this Sunday, and we'll try to get on the air right after the game. Until next time.